Welcome to
This Broadcast Belongs to Them.
You do that very good. I could probably do that too. I have a cold. This broadcast belongs to them.
That's not bad. But I was going to say, I've also been smoking for 15 years, so.
Yes, that helps. That does help. What the hell's that? Blue.
Mountain Dew Voltage, the blue one.
Nice. Yuck. You know that reduces your sperm count. Mountain Dew.
Good.
I wonder if that's ever true, because I have heard that like the longest time.
It's not all Mountain Dew. It's the dye that they use in regular Mountain Dew that makes it that yellow color. And it is true, but I don't know that it's like some epidemic level of killing off your sperm. Perhaps over time, if you drank excessive amounts of it for years and years.
Yeah. Well, this is a weird way to start off a King Diamond podcast, but hey, King Diamond must not be drinking it because he's got a child now, and he's, like 60 years old, so he doesn't drink the Mountain Dew. Anyway.
Well, you never know. His mission was to destroy aliens, so perhaps he confiscated some technology there.
That is true. All right, so thank you very much to Ib and Mark for the last 3 episodes that we've had on. And now we're up to the Brats. Now, the Brats started out without King Diamond, right? They were a punk band or something, right?
They were a punk band that started off with Michael Denner and Hank Sherman, who at the time, Sherman was still going by his original last name, which I can't remember off the top of my head right now. I think it's like Olevsky or something weird. No, that sounds Russian. It starts with an O. And there's an L and a Y and a K in it, I promise you that. But in any event, so they started off as a punk band with some metal tendencies, and they had a vocalist named Yves, and they cut an album for, I want to say, CBS Records, and they recorded the second one. CBS denied it, or rejected it, I suppose would be the better word, and said, nope, we want you guys to go more commercial, and the bass player and the vocalist didn't want to deal with it, and they left, and Michael Denner actually left at that point in time, and then he would come back in later when they got ready to form Merciful Fate. But when King came in as vocalist, he said, I absolutely refuse to sing punk rock. I want to move away from that, and you can really hear the beginnings of Merciful Fate here, but some of this stuff does still have a little bit of a punky vibe to it.
Yeah, a little bit. I didn't hear the first album. I should have actually listened to that first, I guess, just to see what difference it was, But this is very close to Merciful Fate, actually, because half of this song, more than half of the songs, really turned into Merciful Fate songs.
Merciful Fate songs, yes, they did.
Which was funny. Let's see. This thing, you sent me this copy of this demo, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's labeled as a demo because it's really just band practice basically.
Yeah, that's really all it is.
Yeah. I guess that's what they called demos back then.
Well, I mean, that's what a lot of demos would be. They would record a band practice, and they would pick what they thought would be best, and they'd put it out as a tape to get them out there. And I think here, maybe, they threw it together to... Damn it.
What happened?
I knocked the charging cord loose a little bit.
Now I have to edit that.
Sorry. Well, if I didn't take care of it, I just wouldn't have come back on, so...
You're already on. You never left.
Oh, really? Everything went black on my end. Anyway, sorry.
Doesn't matter.
Now I can't remember what I was saying.
With the demos. With the...
right. Yeah, so a lot of the times I think they would just record the band practice and put it out like that, because there's a lot of demo tapes I have where, unless it's a demo they were specifically shopping to a studio, it's just band practices.
Interesting. Another thing I noticed too, like, this is a band practice, and so was the Black Rose thing. And the Black Rose thing sounded like a real demo.
Yeah.
And you think King would have thought to use those two microphones and, placed it in the same spots and stuff like that when they did the Black Rose thing.
True. And then, and then that was also mastered for CD. This is made from...
That's true.
God knows how many generations tape copy was that I had. And Hank's birth name is Rene Cromark.
Oh, really? I never knew that. Any reason why he took the name Hank?
I have no idea.
Interesting.
Probably should have asked Michael.
Yeah, well, because I would have, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
You just brought that up now.
I had forgotten about it until I was reading over some of the liner notes again for this stuff.
Oh, there's liner notes with the demo thing?
Well, not with this demo and not with the album 1980, but they released a compilation called The Lost Tapes Copenhagen 1979, which is the second album they cut and then CBS rejected. Basically what directly led to people leaving and King Diamond coming in the band.
Interesting. All right. Well, so who was actually in this band? So it was Hank, and then Michael Denner was still in this band, right? He didn't come back with King in the band?
No, Michael Denner didn't come back into the fold until they had already changed their name to Danger Zone. I forget what band he was playing with, or if he was playing with a band. He says it during the interview, what he was up to. Yeah. But a guy named Karsten Vander Volsing, Van Helsing, something like that, plays guitar on this demo, and he was only in the band for about a year.
Interesting. Because it sounds like it's Michael Denner and Hank in here. It's funny. Who's playing bass, do you know? Some random guy.
Oh, that's right. Jens, the original vocalist, he went to just playing bass.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
When King came in, yeah.
Okay, yep. I remember reading about that, yep. Very cool. Well, this demo starts off with Death Kiss, and this is actually on the Return of the Vampire album.
Yeah, and they use it as a bonus track on the remaster of Don't Break the Oath. However, while it is the same song, I believe the version of Death Kiss they use on both of those are actually from the Danger Zone / Merciful Fate demos.
Oh, okay.
Partially because it kind of sounds like a different take, and the sound quality is also better than this particular recording. Yeah.
But, if you ever heard of A Dangerous Meeting, it used to be called Death Kiss, because they're basically, the same songs, got the same music. The only thing that's different really about it is, I guess, like the guitar solo part. And obviously the lyrics are all completely different.
Yeah, guitar solo part's a little bit different. This particular version's a little bit punkier, which is just, I'm assuming, a leftover of them transitioning out of being a punk rock band.
Right.
Not that it makes it sound bad, it's just a different dimension to it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't sound like it. Obviously the same chords as a Dangerous Meeting and everything, but even the same structure, it's all the same. Just slightly, like you said, a little bit punkier. Not too far off. Do you like this version?
I like it. I like the Death Kiss version. I think it's cool. I like the energy they have on this demo.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the demo as a whole, to me, it's cool because you get to hear the beginnings of a lot of the Merciful Fate stuff. Mm-hmm. But obviously with the drummer, you're missing Kim Ruzz's drums, the way, his drumming style.
Well, and that's kind of how I feel about it too. It's more of a neat kind of historical release to see how the songs formed and the band formed as time went on, rather than something I'd be like, oh yeah, I really want to hear, Love Criminals instead of Into the Coven, which I don't. But it's cool to hear how it came about.
Right, yeah. And King actually, how long of it was it before he did this from Black Rose? It was like a year or two?
Yeah.
That was, I think it was 80, right? It was the
Black
Rose
thing?
thing?
It said Black Rose ended in 80. Yeah.
And this was 81, so a year. So he did, I guess, kind of improve a little bit more in that year.
Mm-hmm.
He did started getting his typical Merciful Fate, vocal kind of.
Yeah, and you can hear it real well on Fighting for the Knighthood's a pretty good example. That's a pretty long, epic song, and you can hear him doing different stuff vocally doing that. I know, that's why I mentioned that one instead of a different one.
Yeah, Fighting for the Knighthood is track 2 off this demo. This is
very deep purplish song.
Yeah.
Almost a throwback to the Black Rose days.
This song don't have anything to do with any Merciful Fate song, does it?
Now, a couple of the chords sounded similar in certain parts of the song, but I can't place them. So I really don't think it does. I think what I'm hearing in it is just, they already, Hank at least, had started to develop that Merciful Fate sound already by this point. And, that's very distinctive, and just because it has that guitar sound, it might be making me falsely remember, because I listened to all of Melissa and Don't Break the Oath earlier, and I couldn't find what I was looking for.
Yeah, I don't hear anything from those 2 albums in this one, not even from the EP or anything on this song at all.
No. At first, I thought it might be a different version of, or an early version of Corpse Without Soul from the EP, but it isn't. Mm-hmm. It's just has a similar structure.
Yeah. It's a little basic for me, though. Kind of glad they didn't use this song somewhere else.
No. Yeah, me neither.
Because it doesn't really do anything.
It was a wise cut. It's a little overly long.
Yeah, so you're not missing much on this one.
Nope.
Third song, Love Criminals.
Yep, which would later become Into the Coven, and musically, it's really basically almost finished here. I mean, you don't have Denner on guitar, so the leads and all that don't quite sound right, and the solos are different, but it's basically Into the Coven already with different lyrics.
Yeah, you could tell that there's some parts that the band wasn't too sure, about, because there's some like weird changes and things like that. You could tell that they, it's still kind of new to them,
You can tell that on a couple of the songs here, especially the longer ones like this one and Sometimes You're Deadly, and the one before this, Fighting for the Knighthood. It kind of sounds like they're trying to do a jam, but they're not really sure what to do next.
Yeah, because I'd be listening, and all of a sudden I hear the drummer like kind of stopping almost, and then catching up again. It's kind of funny. The slowdown part in the middle is a little different, because the song, pretty much like you said, is all the same. But Yeah, that slow down part's a little different as far as the drums go. Whereas, you know how they're just kind of like an atmosphere kind of sound.
Yeah, the bridge is different.
Right.
Yeah, and it's longer.
Yeah.
It's it's more focused on building atmosphere, like you said. It seems like.
Yeah.
And that's also probably what makes this 8 minutes long instead of the 5.
It's cool to hear, you know, a different take on something that you actually, you know, that they finalized on one of the albums, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I love it for that reason. That's the same reason, you know, I've gotten the deluxe sets of Death's first couple albums. I love hearing how the songs on Scream Bloody Gore started off and became what they did. Same thing with this.
I like it when it's because sometimes you'll get like things like that, and it'll be basically exactly the same, you know.
Yeah.
But like something like this, there are differences, you know, especially like lyric wise. I mean, lyrics, forget it; it's not even the same. I don't even know what some of these lyrics are about. Do you know?
No. The only one I could even find lyrics for online was Death Kiss. I don't know if anybody knows besides King Diamond at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe Lars Ulrich, if the lyrics came with some of the demo tapes he still has, but
that's true. We'll have to get him. We'll have to get him on the show. You know.
Yeah, sure.
Should be an easy get. I mean, they're not doing nothing right now.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to talk to Pat.
That's true. Actually, I did talk to Pat. And if you haven't watched Pat's show, Pat
Scott.
Pat Scott. Go check out Pat Scott's episode. What's next here? Combat Zone. Here's another song that I don't think any parts were used for any other Merciful Fate song.
No, but this is another one where it's got a real heavy driving riff, and it's kind of shorter and punchy, and it sounds like it could be Black Funeral, but it isn't.
Right. It's funny listening to these things, especially the songs that we don't know, that are other songs already, like Fighting for Knighthood in this one, Combat Zone. I'm sitting listening to see if I can hear anything from any other song. Like I'm intently listening. I'm like, there's got to be something, but there isn't.
Yeah. Now this song in particular, though, like you know, the other ones that didn't make it become something better or different, I'm not really too crazy about. But I like this track. It's heavy. It's got a cool rhythm to it. I really think it could have turned into a good Merciful Fate song.
It could have, but it didn't, unfortunately. All right, next up we have Night Riders. This one, of course, became Curse of the Pharaohs.
Yes, it did. And you can tell as soon as that opening riff starts.
Yeah, actually, that's the first. I believe that's the first Merciful Fate song I've heard. Not actually when it was, you know, released, but like back in like 1990, 91 or whatever.
Ooh, I'm trying to think. That's a.
Because I actually didn't know about Merciful Fate. I only knew about King Diamond. And then when I heard Curse of the Pharaohs, I'm like, holy shit, that's the same guy.
Yeah, I'm trying to... That's funny because I heard Merciful Fate first, but I'm trying to remember what song it was that was on this compilation I had. Oh, it was Doomed by the Living Dead. That was the first Merciful Fate song I ever heard.
Was that on a compilation? Like a real compilation or a mixtape? I mean,
one of those, you know, dime a dozen metal ones they did in the 80s, like Metal Killers or Metal Hits Hard.
Yeah. Actually, I got, hold on a minute. You know that, oh God, what the hell is it? Music for Nations?
Yeah.
I got that record in a yard sale about a month ago. Where the hell did it go? Oh, here it is.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I got this here. And it was hidden. It was in this weird house. And these people, they used to have like a thrift shop or whatever. And they were going out of business, and then I guess they brought all the stuff to their house or whatever. So I'm looking through. The house was a total disaster, and they had records. And I just happened to go through the records, and this was the only metal thing that they had there. And I said, "Holy shit! I've seen that cover before, so I gotta get it." And then I'm looking, and I'm like, "Oh shit! Merciful Fate's on there, so definitely I have to get it." So I thought it was cool, and then they got the little picture, the old school picture of them right there.
That's cool.
That is a really cool picture, I thought. And what song is on here? Black Funeral is on this. So I thought that was pretty cool. Got it for $2.
Can't beat that.
No, you can't.
I mean, they're not super expensive, but they still go for like $15.
Yeah. Yep, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that record either. It's rare to find too. A record that doesn't have any skips or whatever on it. But anyway.
Yeah. I got some nice ones in the mail today. But...
That's a different show.
Yeah.
Does it have to do with Merciful Fate or King Diamond?
No.
I have some King Diamond stuff in the back behind me that I got today. I'll show you later. I'll show you later. It's back there. All right. Back to Night Riders.
What's interesting too is, so this becomes Curse of the Pharaohs, obviously, which is about, robbing a Pharaoh's tomb. And this is one of the few songs where I can actually make out some of his vocals, and it sounds like it was always about grave robbing. It just
really
got Egyptian as time went on.
I can't hear any of the vocals, but most noticeably, because obviously I play drums, the drums are completely played different. They're more of like that, like the disco type. Oh wait, no, that's the wrong song I'm thinking of. No, it is this song. Yes, it is this song, because actually they do it on another song too. But they've got that like kind of thing going on. As opposed
drums are kind of hard to hear, honestly.
You know what it is? My ears go right to that shit. So I always hear it. But yeah, coming from like the final version with Kim Russ playing, this it doesn't sound the same that way. Which is for most of these songs, like the guitars and stuff are the same. Lyrics are different, drums are different. Because you got a completely different drummer. Now, was this the same drummer from the first Brats album, or is this a complete
guy?
Yeah,
so that's why it's real punky.
Yeah. Interesting. Let's see. When they get to the solo section, it's totally different.
Yeah, that's one thing about this that really threw me off, because, I'm singing Curse of the Pharaohs along to it. Which it's already annoying me because the lyrics are different. But then, I go to air guitar, the guitar solo, and I was like, what?
Yeah, I did that a lot with this stuff. Then it gets back to the Curse of the Pharaohs, but it's a much faster beat than the final version of the song. Yeah, it's cool. You get to see where the song came from, Next song. Sometimes You're Deadly.
Clever title.
Yeah. Another song that was never used, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Originally when I was looking at the link, the length, I thought maybe this is an early version of Satan's Fall, but it's not.
Yeah. Nope, not at all. It actually kind of sounds like Black Sabbath a little bit when it starts out, because it kind of starts like slow and it's very doomy stuff.
Well, no, I was going to mention that. Not only is it just slow and doomy sounding, but the riff is very similar, and the rhythm line to Megalomania.
Okay, yeah, I hear it. Very interesting.
It's kind of impossible not to. I'm not saying they ripped them off, but they definitely did a variation of that riff.
Let's see. The chorus part was catchy. I like the chorus part.
The chorus part's catchy. I like the beginning of the song. Really, what ruins this is the jam part in the middle.
Right.
It's too long, it's too loose, and it's too directionless.
Yeah. Out of all the songs, of the ones that didn't become Merciful Fate songs, I think I like this one the most. This one could have been worked on a little bit more, I think, and then they could have used it as something. It had some kind of a potential, especially with that chorus, because that chorus seemed very Merciful Fate-ish to me.
I agree. I mean, I would still pick Combat Zone as my favorite of the three that never made it in anything else, but that would be my second pick.
Last but not least, Power of Darkness. And this one became Return of the Vampire. Which is funny because now there's like 3 different versions, or there's like 4 different versions of like Return of the Vampire, because there was so many different, I guess, variations of the song. Because you got the one that's on the Return of the Vampire album, whatever that was from. Then you got this one, which was played way faster.
Yeah, I like the way it's played faster.
Really? I don't like that. My favorite
one. I think it makes the song a little bit better, actually.
I didn't think so. My favorite one, though, is In the Shadows, when Lars played on that one.
Oh, that's the best one, because they actually, finished it and did it for an album.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like a complete song, whereas all the other versions just sound like a bunch of jumbled up parts together. It's kind of weird. But,
this one I think sounds a little bit more cohesive than the version that's actually on Return of the Vampire.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think all the versions are kind of weird except for that one.
I can't remember what the Danger Zone version sounds like right now. But
see, I don't think you sent me that stuff.
It's just 2 demos.
I think you only sent me 1. I don't know. I'll have to look. Because I just listened to it before. I didn't hear this.
Yeah, Death Kiss is on it. Return of the Vampire. Well, here, let's see. And, of course, my phone's in the way.
Well, that's all right. But,
yes. No. Okay, they didn't do Return of the Vampire on either of those.
I don't think so. But the one thing that was different is the very simple drum beats on this song. There's no crazy drum stuff. It's even more simpler than the Lars version.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like straight,
He really doesn't do anything interesting on the drums the whole time.
No, I'm glad that he did not move on to either Danger Zone or the Merciful Fate stuff.
Well, me too, but honestly, I don't ever see that as having been an option. It clearly didn't fit with King Hank's and Michael's vision at the time.
No, not at all. Oh, the other thing, too, the end of this song is really different. I actually think it's part of the solo for Curse of the Pharaohs, like the final version of Curse of the Pharaohs. Did you notice that?
Yeah, at the very end, I did go back and listen to that, and that's right, going way back to Combat Zone. There's a section in the middle of Combat Zone, because this is the one where I actually found something, because it was driving me nuts. Part of that song is reused in At the Sound of the Demon Bell. It's not the whole thing, but it's part of the midsection of the song before the solo starts, and I was like, okay, yes, that's where that came from.
Well, I'm glad you found something. But all in all, it's a cool demo. It's a cool band practice. I really like to hear how these songs took shape over time, and to see what they became was, it's way better. They got the songs down and the better lyrics that fit the music, and more better musicians to play the parts and stuff like that. Michael Denner came back, and you got Kim Ruz, and then you got Timmy Hansen playing the bass and everything. So with all that together, and King, the new lyrics, and it just made the songs way better. But it's cool to hear the beginnings of those songs.
Yep, and on top of that, how much they all progressed from just where they were a year or 2 years before.
Yeah, very quick pace of time. Because he was in Black Rose, then he was doing this, and then he's which will be next, Danger Zone, and then right after Danger Zone's Merciful Fate. So,
yep,
really cool what they got to do in such a short span of time.
Yeah, so, it really is.
Yeah. But now we will go over to Michael Denner with his first part. He will be talking. He wasn't, obviously, like we talked earlier, he wasn't in this version of the Brats, but he was in the first version. So he'll be talking about that. And then I believe we talk about a little bit of Danger Zone, which we'll do next episode. And then after that, we get into the beginnings of what we've been really trying to get to is Merciful Fate.
Yes.
Stuff that we know.
That's heart. Right. And then I'll be super excited to talk about Merciful Fate and King Diamond for a few weeks, and then that might be the last word I say on camera.
Great. All right.
I'm just kidding.
All right. So watch Michael Dinner, and we will be back next week.
Yep. Enjoy.
Welcome to Rat Salad Review, and today we have special guest Michael Denner on. And yeah, sorry we don't have him on video. Maybe you gotta get Skype.
I gotta get Skype. I mean, I'm not a computer person, so it's a bit odd, to be able to do Skype because most people does these days, But this is how it works for now.
Yeah.
So
that's okay. At least we have you some way or another, right?
Great, man. Yeah. Cool.
All right. So actually, we're gonna start off with like the beginnings, like before Merciful Fate, like Danger Zone and the Brats. Yeah. And Greg knows a lot more about that than I do, so I'm gonna let him take over this part for a little while.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I don't know tons of the ins and outs of it, but I used to have 1980 on vinyl with my dad's, and loved it. Great album, real punky and all that.
Yeah, it was a mix of metal and punk, and actually the first album with heavy metal on from Denmark. So there's it has some kind of history over here, and a lot of people love it because it was the first of its kind, So.
Oh yeah, I like it. It's got a real great feel to it, and it's real fresh like that too. You can tell you guys are real hungry on it, and it's
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds groundbreaking to me too in a way, because it's funny. I was watching The Decline of Western Civilization Part 1 the other night, and I'm like, man, everybody's always on about the Germs. They need to hear the Brats record.
Yeah, and like I said, I love the energy of it, and you can clearly feel the hunger for young musicians. Their first album, with the purpose. We all wanted this more than anything in the world, to be able to break big, but it was not very, very well received by the critics in Denmark, because at that point there was a lot of, folk musicians or straight pop sung in Danish. Mm-hmm. So we came there with our leather jackets and attitude, and a lot of the old guys who wrote in the paper said, these guys, they're too big-headed, who are they, and so on. So it was quite difficult to get good press or go in on radio or TV over here at that point,
I noticed that looking up some vintage reviews for the record. They really don't talk about the music at all. They just seem really pissed off that it's not sung in Danish.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah. So, but that makes us even more eager to prove them wrong, And when one of the last interviews we did, we say within 3 years we will be number one in U.S. and it was of course these journalists, they were laughing at us, But 3 years later we were on a playlist all over U.S. with Merciful Fate, the radio shows, the independent shows.
Yes.
They were number one on their playlist, so somehow it was the right prediction, to say we're number one in U.S. in 3 years. So, yeah.
Yeah, hell, you guys were even on the BBC Friday Rock show.
Oh yeah, with Tommy Vance. That was a big break for us, and finally meet a guy who understood what it was all about, So that helped us a lot to do that show. That was very important. And I recall when we went over London BBC studios, and we had a few hours to do the recordings. with this guy Tony Wilson, I believe his name was Tony Wilson, and we were quite young, you know, and it was like it was a bit scary, you know, to go in this legendary studio with this legendary producer and play, you know, but we were quite well prepared, and I still believe to this day that it's some very interesting recordings we did on the BBC sessions. Very strong. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so too. That's actually that's my favorite version of Satan's Fall.
It's a brilliant version.
Yes.
Very heavy. Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorites. Real fits in with the new wave of British heavy metal feel too.
It sure did, and it was. It made us very proud to be able to go on these lists, you know, in Kerrang and so on. You know, on the journalist favorites, you know, go on these lists as young guys from Denmark, you know, Copenhagen. There were not much happening there at that point over at where we came from, you know. So it was a big step to be able to play UK or Holland, Belgium, Germany, and finally be able to go to US and Canada to play. It was like unreal, you know, for us just to stand and play for big audiences outside our own country. You know, that was a big break for us.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well deserved too. Because Merciful Fate, you guys were game changing, and that. One of my favorite things about listening to the old recordings, even though the quality isn't that good, but it's real cool to hear them evolve from Brats or Danger Zone songs into the final form.
Yeah, exactly. It was like there was a lot of things, a lot of small things made it the big thing, you know. A lot of luck and good fortune, you know. This guy came from this place, and that guy came from that. I mean, and also the change of the music style, which into Merciful Fate. It was a lot of different things happening, you know. And finally we got the formula, which still to this day is some of my all-time favorite music, even though I'm a part of it. I mean, you can even say I'm a big fan of what I did. With Merciful Fate. Yeah, hey. I mean, still to this day, Melissa, Don't Break the Oath song, I listen to it, and I'm still, wow. I think it's so good what we did, you know.
Oh,
groundbreaking.
Yeah. I feel the same way it was. The first time I ever actually heard Merciful Fate was I had bought this guy's collection. This was in the mid to late 90s, early 2000s when I was going through high school and all that. So nobody cared about metal right then. But he had been a DJ, and he had all these high quality DK90 tapes of all this stuff, and the one was the Merciful Fate EP with the BBC session on the other side.
Oh yeah, the one they called the beginning. I think it was called the album version.
Doomed by the Living Dead changed my life. I mean, that song is just it's insane. There's so many parts, and it's so heavy, but it's so intricate.
Yeah. I mean, and it took, as you can imagine, it took a while to get these all these songs with all these riffings under your belt, so you were able to play them without mistakes. And I mean, we spent hours and hours and hours practicing, rehearsing. You know, every day we went to the rehearsing room. It was only, I believe, it was on Saturday or Sunday we had off. Every day we worked in the rehearsing room. The rest of the bands, the local bands here in Copenhagen, they practiced once a week or something and went out for beers. We stayed in that rehearsing room every fucking day, you know, just to practice, you know. It was only if you were attending a funeral or a round birthday or a wedding, you were able to cancel a rehearsing evening, you know. Wow. It was so serious. But the fruit of it came, you know, because we were able to outplay most of any band in the area, you know, because it was so tight, you know, and so complex, the music we did together, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Well, a lot different from today's bands. A lot of bands don't even record together anymore.
No, they don't. And of course, it can, like with my new album, I work very, very closely with the rhythm section on all the recordings and so on here in Copenhagen, because they're local people. Okay. But I was sort of a singer. I needed a singer, and I found one in New York. So for that reason, he recorded in New Jersey, and we recorded everything else here in Copenhagen.
Oh wow!
Because not to make it too expensive, the travel expenses and so on. Yeah. So, but it worked.
Yeah.
Mm. And nobody wants to go to New Jersey.
I like New Jersey, man. I've been staying there, yeah. But I mean, there's so many great places in the U.S. Because we stayed there, rehearsing rooms. We had recordings in Texas, and so I spent. I believe I spent 1.5 years total in U.S. working, always working, never on a vacation. Just doing playing and things. Mm-hmm.
But I'm actually from New Jersey, so.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But,
Jersey's got two of my favorite music stores, so it's all right.
Okay.
Do you spend all that time in the U.S. On the road, or are you recording and mixing?
Yeah, we did the reunion recordings at Dallas Sound Lab.
Okay.
In the Shadows, Time, and Into the Unknown. I didn't play on the last 2 albums, but I do think they did the recordings there. I'm not quite sure where they recorded the last two albums.
Okay.
So, but we did the 3 albums I'm on. We did it in Dallas Sound Lab.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So we had a lot of time there, rented some apartments, to prepare for the album and to have a place to stay, during these sessions.
Okay.
And I recall that when we did, I believe in the Shadows, they told me on this spot over there, Stevie Vaughan, he played some of his most legendary solos. So I went over at that spot and played some of my solos from the In the Shadows album at the exact same spot as Stevie Vaughan. Just to get some of his spirit down. I mean, why not?
Yeah, it worked. But
it worked.
Greg, you had a question about one of the earlier songs.
Well, Well, one thing I was really curious about is I always heard a rumor that you guys recorded a cover of Zeppelin's "The Immigrant" song for Melissa, but you ended up not releasing it.
We did a recording of "Immigrant" song. I believe it was in the Don't Break the Oath sessions.
Oh, Don't Break the Oath.
Yeah,
okay.
But as a huge Led Zeppelin fan, both me and King are big Zeppelin fans, and it didn't. I mean, the swing wasn't there. It was not working. Of course, King could do the high pitching and and make it sound heavy, but it didn't. It didn't work. I mean, to do. I mean. Don't copy that song. But we gave it a try, but it didn't work. So, but I would love to hear the tape, just to hear it one more time.
So there is
I think it was erased. It was erased.
Oh,
I mean, just to make sure that no one found it and released it on a bootleg or something. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's a shame, but that's interesting. Yeah, I was always
curious
about that, but I can see why it would be left off. Melissa has a very specific feel to it.
Yeah, exactly.
I
mean, that album wrote itself, because we had songs for 2 albums. So we took the best of the best and used it for Melissa. But there were so many great songs left out. So half of Don't Break the Oath is leftovers from Melissa, actually.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
Yeah. But then again, it was so. I mean, the working phase. It was so easy for us to write songs and arrange songs, you know, and the harmony pieces and all kinds of stuff, because we were so much together, you know, as also as friends, you know. Everything was about that band, you know, everything. I mean, girlfriends and stuff was second, you know, that was on another shelf. The most important things in the world was Merciful Fate. I mean, that was our 5 people's life.